Welcome students, alumni, faculty, and staff to our Careers Going Forward event. My name is Marcia Gonzaga, and I am the Assistant Director of Career Services and Alumni Relations for the College of Global Futures. For the purpose of Careers Going Forward, the series is for us to really engage and learn from industry leaders and career experts with the goal that these events will address what students can do with their career after graduation, as well as engage alumni, faculty, and staff with current business opportunities. To all of you at home or wherever you may be, we truly appreciate your time and attention as you join us in this virtual environment. During this hour, you will learn more about LEED credentialing, and several of the pre-submitted questions from your registration will be answered with the remaining time to address questions that you in the audience can add to the Q&A. With that being said, I would like to introduce my fellow moderator, Emmery Ledin. Emmery is an engagement program coordinator with ASU's Sustainability Practices Department and a 2014 School of Sustainability alumna. Her background is in environmental communication, outreach, and engagement for government entities and nonprofit organizations. Her focus is on creating a culture of sustainability at ASU through engaging events and programs such as the 15-minute Seeds of Sustainability online training. She is also pursuing a master's in communication from NAU and is set to graduate in spring 2022. Thank you, Emmery, for joining us today.
Thanks, Marcia. And a huge thank you to ASU's College of Global Futures for facilitating this virtual event. Before I introduce our speaker, I would like to announce that October is Campus Sustainability Month, and we will be celebrating all month long. To join us, you can find events on the ASU event site, on our website, or on our social media pages. And all of those will be posted in the chat. So check back throughout September and October as we will be updating frequently. Now let's get to the main event. Today we have not only an ASU alumnus, but also an expert on all things LEED. Dane Englert is the market manager of Arizona for the U.S. Green Building Council, a nonprofit mission-driven company. His undergraduate degree is from Purdue University in environmental science. Dane is an alumni of W.P. Carey School of Business at ASU, where he earned an MBA. At USGBC, Dane is responsible for increasing building LEED certifications and memberships around the state. On his off time, he enjoys sailing, running, and training for his first marathon, section hiking, and backpacking the Arizona Trail from Mexico to Utah. Please join me in welcoming Dane Englert.
All right. Thank you so much, Emmery. Can you see the screen? Yep. Okay, we're good to go. All right. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for having me. So here's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, we're going to talk about USGBC. What is the U.S. Green Building Council? We'll discuss LEED and what LEED is, the value of being a LEED certified, value of being LEED certified for buildings, LEED certified as an accredited professional, the value of that, and then also how you as a student of ASU can use the membership and have access to the education. So here we go. Okay, so what is USGBC? U.S. Green Building Council is a nonprofit organization. We were founded in 1993, and we're membership based. So we have member organizations that help us, keep the lights on, really, and that's how we sustain our organization. And then we also LEED as a tool for buildings also has a cost to it too. So we're a nonprofit organization, and we're really committed to transforming how buildings are designed, constructed, and operated to be more sustainable. Through LEED, USGBC seeks to pave the way to a sustainable future by creating communities that will regenerate and sustain the health and vitality of all life within one generation. So that's our big, hairy goal. So what is LEED? LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It is the most widely used green building rating system in the world. And it's really just a framework. It's a framework for buildings to be more sustainable. You can kind of think, I use the analogy of a nutrition label. So we're kind of like the nutrition, LEED is like the nutrition label for buildings. And it can be rated as either certified, silver, gold, or platinum. So there's different levels based on the points that you receive. So like I said, it's a framework for identifying and implementing practical and measurable green building design, construction, operation, maintenance, strategies, and solutions. So here's an example of an office building that gets LEED certified, and you can see that this has a plaque on the front. And so that's kind of our that's the nutrition label right there for that building, and it allows us to showcase that that building has been LEED certified. And you'll notice that all of the buildings on ASU campus are LEED certified, and if you look closely, a lot of them have these plaques, either on the outside of the building or in the lobby whenever you walk in. So over 2 billion square feet have been certified to date, and we certify about 2 million square feet of building space every single day. It's used all over the world, and using the framework, we have demonstrated that you can save money, consume less energy, use less water, fewer resources, and have buildings have better indoor air quality. It also helps organizations share their corporate social responsibility story while enjoying the positive benefits associated with sustainability and having that message of their company. And so as a third-party nonprofit organization too, we're also provide that third-party check really that provides transparency for the building owners and who's paying for the building being certified and operated, and for its users. So why is it valuable for ASU students to know about the LEED rating system? So here's some figures about the energy savings that we have. But for you as an ASU student, it's important because you can demonstrate your knowledge of green building practices on your resume. The certification is it's good to learn about the green buildings because of the vocabulary and like understand the principles and the concepts. You can be part of the growing green building community of members and the LEED accredited professionals. Mostly our audience is architects, engineers, and construction folks, but really it can apply to anyone that is using a building or operating a building, and it can apply in a lot of different careers. Also, you're making a positive impact on climate change, influencing your customers, clients, and colleagues about the benefits of green buildings, and it sets you apart in your career and job hunting. So we found that the architecture firms and construction firms are seeking LEED accreditation for people outside, out of college, and it is a resume builder for them. Okay, let's play a little game here. So this is called Guess the LEED Certified Building at ASU. And the first one is LEED Silver. And we're gonna launch a poll here. Yep. So this project received top scores for its design in supporting urban density, community connectivity, partnership, and overall site selection for effective use of space. Throughout the construction, the team focused on recycling of construction materials and embedded use of recycled materials into many components of the facility. It's located in a dense urban site. That might give it away. The project implemented strategies to address the potential heat island impact. And finally, the finished building incorporates educational displays to assist the public in appreciating LEED designation and all that it supports. So see the poll there? Give it a guess which building is LEED silver. All right. Yes, very good. 58% guessed that it was the Sun Devil Fitness Center downtown campus. That is correct. All right, next one is, there we go. This one is LEED Gold, and here are some features of it. So naturally self-shading mass of the overall building, naturally self-shading massing of the overall building, sawtooth configuration of the outer building facade. It's comprised of Arizona sandstone with aluminum and glass windows, has been designed to achieve higher than standard level of thermal performance, responding to solar orientation, window size, and programmatic requirements. Mechanically, the building incorporates energy efficient technologies, including chilled beams and underfloor displacement cooling. Those are some of the features of the building, the LEED Gold building. And that's a pretty one. All right, this one is the Bow Center for Law and Society downtown. So the most 39% guessed that one, educated guess, and got that one right. So very good. Second one, people guessed, I guess I had a good wrong answer of the Cronkite journalism suit. So 24% of people guessed that one. So that one, the LEED Gold one, is the Bow Center for Law and Society downtown. All right, finally, we have a LEED Platinum building. You'll probably recognize this one. This is built to be net zero energy building. Buildings designed for net zero energy and zero waste. Its demolition and construction had a 99% diversion rate with meaningful diversion out of the, not into the landfill. That's what that means. Some energy efficient features include exterior shading of walls and windows, high level of building envelope insulation, and low window to wall ratio, high efficiency glass. In order to achieve zero waste, the building incorporates on-campus and local reuse of items and building materials, post-consumer recycled materials in the project build, finishes and furnishings, and design spaces to increase operational waste flow and consumer use, to name a few of the features. So also, I think the solar parasol is part of the building that's not really shown in here, but this is a really cool building. All right, yes, 83% got that right. The Student Pavilion in Tempe campus. All right, thank you for that. That was fun. Next, we will go, oh, that space. There we go. Let's talk LEED accreditation. So LEED Green Associate is the first level, and you have to get the LEED Green Associate first. That is the baseline. And it measures general knowledge of green building practices and how to support others working on LEED projects. The exam is ideal for those new to green building. LEED Green Associate is the foundation of the accreditation. Next is the LEED AP, and that stands for Accredited Professional. So the LEED accredited professionals, they all have a specialty. And the 5 different specialties are building design and construction, interior design and construction, O&M, which is operations and maintenance. We have LEED for homes, and then also ND, neighborhood development. And all of these systems have been used on ASU's campus except for LEED homes. And I don't know that we have one in operations and maintenance yet, but we've done interior design and construction, building design and construction is the majority of them. And then also the Novus Innovation Corridor is LEED neighborhood development, and it achieved gold. So that's where a lot of the new are going up around the campus. The LEED AP exams measure knowledge about green building and the specific LEED rating system and the certification process. So this exam is ideal for individuals who are actively working on green buildings and working in LEED projects. So you get the LEED Green Associate first, and then if you are using one of the LEED systems in your work, then it makes sense to go ahead and get the LEED accredited professional designation. So what's the value of having a LEED accreditation? Definitely demonstrates your knowledge on your resume so that you can share that with potential employers. You get to learn, like I said earlier, the key terms and concepts about the green building industry, be part of the green building community and members of LEED accredited professionals from all over the world. And they really stand out in the building industry to have that credential. And it's designed to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about when it comes to green buildings, and that you understand the process of going through the framework, and also the principles that are used in design construction or interior design and construction or the operations and maintenance. Many jobs, especially in construction, architecture, urban planning, landscape design, require LEED accreditation to apply. And you can learn about green building and sustainability while helping to build and design sustainable infrastructure of the future. And I even think that a LEED Green Associate could be applicable for anyone that is working in a building, or or has a connection to a building that is part of their work, and to help advance the energy efficiency possibly, or learn about the different systems that go on in the building and be able to make choices that make that building more sustainable. Okay, so you're interested in becoming a LEED accredited professional. Now what? So to be first, you're wondering, like, what do I need to do? So how do you get accredited? What's the process? How much does it cost? How long is the credential valid? How do you keep up to date? And what resources are available? So I'm here to answer all those questions. So to start, you sign up through USGBC. So usgbc.org, and you create a profile there. And then you link that profile to ASU, and that will give you access to a lot of free education materials. And then it's your choice to take the exam either in person or Prometric Testing Center. So you can do it in person at a Prometric Testing Center, or you can do it at home, remote, proctored online exam. So those are both available. For ASU students, for the Green Associate, we've given a discounted rate. So it's only $100 for students. The online study material is free. There's several courses that you can do to help you study for it. And my rule of thumb for study time is, if you do about 3 to 6 hours a week for 2 to 3 weeks, that's plenty of time to be ready to go for the LEED Green Associate, the foundation exam. The credentials are valid for 2 years, and there is 15 continuing education credits that are required every 2 years to maintain the credential. So it's kind of like a 2-year process, and you cycle through every 2 years, and there's continuing education that's available either on our website, or we have webinars throughout the year where you can earn those continuing education. So the resources are available can you put this link into the chat? usgbc.org/credentials/LEED Green Associate. And the based on the membership that ASU has, all of the students are eligible to access the materials, study materials. So here it is. This kind of walks you through how to create an account and what it looks like. So you find the organization by the member ID, and we can follow up with that number, or you can search for the organization. So as a current ASU student, faculty, and or staff member, you have access to professional development. Also in USGBC education, there's over 600 or 800 hours or so of green building and sustainable education at no cost. There's a ton of really interesting webinars and like classes that you can take to learn about different types of building design, principles, products, all kinds of stuff. I even was looking at adding some insulation to my house. And so I was like researching different types of insulation that I could use in my attic. So it was really helpful. I learned about rock wool, so that was kind of cool. The library highlights the best-in-class courses and resources to establish a foundational knowledge of green building and sustainability concepts, as well as numerous resources to support those looking to attain and maintain your LEED professional credential. Also, here are some more opportunities and benefits. We have group study sessions and info that it will be available. Green Build 2021 is next week. So if you Google Green Build, you can see all of the awesome speakers and presenters that we have going on next week. You can still sign up and do it virtually. And every year we do have scholarships available. That's been passed for this year, but if you're interested in scholarships for next year, we can certainly talk about that. Also, I'm working on a multifamily housing summit that's coming in October, and we have some really great speakers talking about all kinds of stuff, from tax benefits for energy efficiency design to heat pumps. And we have a couple of project profiles, a really awesome affordable housing that got LEED Platinum that's in Albuquerque. And so we always have events that you can learn more about USGBC and green building stuff that's going on all the time. And here is the contact information. So here's Emmery's email at ASU, and then here's my information. You can email me too if you have any questions. All right. I will stop sharing, and then Emmery, do you want to go through some questions that we have from before?
Sure.
All right.
We got a lot of questions submitted when you guys registered, so we'll go through some that we kind of thought maybe wouldn't be answered in Dane's original presentation. So the first question is it possible to build a 100% ecological building?
Yeah, so is it possible to build a 100% ecological building? So that's a kind of a tough question. I think that, you know, there are resources that are in a building, and, you know, you have to move materials to get there. So there's always a cost, in a sense, of like a carbon cost to building a building. Now, there are buildings that and some of those things that you would take into consideration under that is the life cycle assessment. And so there's the acronym is LCA, stands for life cycle assessment, and that looks at the carbon cost over time of a building and its use. And that's kind of the rubric for testing what you might call whether it would be 100% ecological. So I don't know, maybe a 100% ecological building might just be a cave, you know, or like an adobe hut or something, right? But, you know, we don't live in caves anymore, and we don't go to school in huts. So there's definitely some resources. Now, some buildings, just based on their design, use so little energy, and they're actually entering energy into the grid. And so there is a movement now to have energy positive buildings where they're actually creating more energy than they're using. So that's something to look at. And I think that's the future of green buildings. So next you'll start seeing net zero energy buildings or there's also zero waste buildings, and so no landfills, or it could be a zero water building. And so thinking about the way buildings use resources or contribute to resources too. And also there's some wild technology out there. In fact, I just was reading about some paint that actually cleans the air in the room. So that's pretty wild. It will, I guess, absorb, if some of the particulates that are in the air or something like that. I don't know exactly how it works, but so that's kind of the future of green buildings.
Thank you. It looks like I have a question in the Q&A, so I'll just answer that one next. It says, "Hi Dane, what advice would you give to a recent graduate seeking an entry-level role in green building?"
Well, definitely, if you haven't gotten your LEED Green Associate, that would be a great place to start. It's not as hard of a test as you might think. If you have a background in any kind of sustainability, you'll understand a lot of the concepts and the vocabulary, just like really with anything. When you're learning a new subject, understanding the vocabulary really gives you power in that subject to be able to communicate your ideas and communicate the concepts about it. So getting your LEED accreditation would be really good. Some of the firms also, architecture firms, have internships from time to time, so that would be great. Unfortunately, they're not all paid, so that kind of sucks to do an unpaid internship. It depends on where you're at in your career, right? And so if you are switching careers or you're just getting into it that way, then that might be more challenging. But as a recent college grad, if you can continue to live like a college student for a little longer and do an internship, then that would be could be an opportunity for you. Also, reach out to me. We have some volunteer opportunities from time to time that could get you connected into the community and build your network that way, and kind of understand the different professions that are in the green building world, or really the building industry in a whole. So.
Thank you. The next question that we have is, when can you begin testing for a LEED accreditation, and when might a LEED accreditation be required for someone?
Yeah, so you can begin testing at any time, whenever you are ready, after you've studied the material. If you study better from a book, then there's books online that you can buy that wouldn't be included in the free materials because it's like a physical book, but Amazon has study books if that's a thing for you. What was the second part?
When might a LEED accreditation be required?
Oh yeah,
for someone?
Right. If you're an architect and you're working for a firm that does a lot of LEED buildings, then that might be a requirement, or they might hire you with the expectation that you get your LEED accreditation. And for an architect or an engineer, it would really be in your best interest to do the LEED Green Associate and then the accredited professional. So that would be for building design or construction. Also, we have LEED consultants too that do consulting work for existing buildings, and then they would be more interested in the LEED operations and maintenance test. So that would help with that.
Great, thank you. Next question, how can I gain practical experience in LEED credentialing?
Yeah, so the way, unfortunately, we don't really have a great way of, like getting practical experience on your first project. It really kind of usually happens for most people when they're on the job. And so we USGBC does have a program called LEED Lab, where that we have a kind of a college course set up where they could go through the crediting process, or LEED accreditation, or LEED certification process, and of a building. And so that might be something that ASU might do down the road, but really it takes a project to do. And so if you, through an internship, you could have that experience, or on the job training as you get into your career.
Great, next question. Going forward with the given climate crisis, how should the construction industry respond to make sure we are on a clean, ethical, sustainable, and feasible financially and otherwise as well?
Yeah. I think I get the gist of that question.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the construction industry is interesting. I mean, we're still, for the most part, building a lot of buildings the same way we did 100 years ago, especially on the home side. Stick built, they call them, the way that a lot of homes are going up, and they're built on site. And so it's different than a lot of other industries. A lot of industries have gone to a factory where things are built there because, one, they can control the environment, they can control a lot of things in a factory setting versus on site, like most construction is done. So it's kind of a funny industry in a way of how the industry has just construction industry has functioned. I think the responsibility for the construction industry really is to start having these conversations and thinking about where the impact that construction has on the environment and the community. And that goes to the equity questions and conversations too, how we can design and construct buildings that are good for the community and inclusive and designed for all different types of people to be able to use easily. And I think it's changing a little bit as we're going. So Tempe has the first home that is being built as we speak by a computer, like a molded or 3D. What do you call it? Like a 3D
3D printer?
Yeah, 3D printed house. Yeah, in Tempe, there's the first 3D printed house is happening right now, and they have a big kind of grid system that just moves around and pours concrete in a configuration that will eventually turn into a house. So that's kind of interesting. I think there's definitely some innovations that are happening in the construction industry. Typically, it's advanced through labor and hiring more people, but the benefits of more labor are topping out. There's a incremental benefit that there's a curve that kind of tops out after you keep adding people. So I think it's time to innovate and have new technologies like a 3D printed house, or being a modular construction where they're built in a factory and then put together when on site. So things are changing, but it's kind of slow. The construction industry has done a lot of how it's always been kind of thing.
Thank you. So we have a few other questions in the Q&A. So the first one being, if we get the LEED GA, do we need to work on LEED projects in order to get a LEED AP?
No, you don't have to have LEED project experience to get the LEED accredited professional. It would help it would help you kind of understand the concepts, and I think it helps it kind of sink in if you're able to use it hands-on, so to speak, with the documentation and understanding the credits and how they work. It would help to have that experience, but you don't need it. You can earn your LEED accredited professional just through studying and taking the test.
Thank you. And next, you gave us the study time for the LEED Green Associate, but what about the AP classes?
Oh, good question. I would just say a lot more. I don't know how much that the book is a lot thicker. I think the book is like this if you buy the physical book. And so I don't know, whatever time it would take to do that. I would say maybe if you take the LEED Green Associate, so that is 3 to 6 hours for 2 to 3 weeks. If you double that, that'd probably be the time for the accredited professional. So 3 to 6 hours a week for maybe we'll say like 4 to 6 or 8 weeks, probably.
I was going to say that as well. Maybe just doubling that
Yeah,
would be a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. These are just rules of thumb, so don't like get mad at me if you don't pass it the first time.
Okay, so we've had a lot of questions about how the LEED credential can apply to different career sectors. So I've seen questions about urban planning, about architecture. That one's a little bit more clear, I think. But the current question that we have applies to urban planning. So maybe if you could expand on urban planning and maybe some of the other maybe unexpected areas.
Uses, yeah, that's a good question. So LEED for neighborhood development, LEED ND, which is what the Novus Innovation Corridor achieved, that is more applicable to city planning and urban planning, I think, because you get credits and points on that based on the plan and like the connectivity, how easy it is to walk to places. You get points for like mixed use development. It's really it has to do with the community really, and like that neighborhood and how to make it work better, so to speak, and be more efficient as far as a community. And then we also have, which there isn't a test for this, but we also have a LEED certification for cities and communities. And Tempe is going through that process right now. We have a team that's working with Braden Kay, who's in the sustainability, he's the sustainability director at the city of Tempe, and his team, and they are working through the LEED for Cities program. And so that's really neat. There's a lot of I don't know all of the ways that you get points for that, but our LEED for Cities team is working with Braden on that. And so that would be another thing that you could use for city planning that would be applicable to that. Yeah, so I think those are some of the other ways. And is there another part of that question about okay, that's it. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, those are great examples of some maybe uncommon uses for LEED.
Yeah.
So the next question says, once you have the Green Associates, how do you renew after the 2 years, and do you have to pay to take another exam?
You don't have to pay to take another exam as soon as your, so actually this month is my renewal for my LEED Green Associate. And so as soon as you have your continuing education hours in and they are submitted, they're either self-reported, or if you're doing a webinar, then sometimes they will report for you. And then once you have your 15 hours, then it automatically just renews and continues. Now, if your accreditation lapses for a certain period, I think it's about 3 months. If it lapses for 3 months and you don't have your continuing education, then you have to retake the test. So you want to stay up to date on it and get your continuing education hours in.
Thank you. So the next question, is there a LEED AP credential that will be more in demand than the others in the near future?
I think the untapped market is for LEED operations and maintenance for O&M. And our latest iteration of LEED for existing buildings. So it used to be called LEED E-BOM, which stood for existing buildings operations and maintenance. Now it's just LEED O&M operations and maintenance, but it is for existing buildings. And we have a technology platform called ARC, A-R-C, and the website is ARC-SCORU. So SCORU is the name, is a Norse, like Norse, N-O-R-S-E, Norse for score. So the website is ARC, A-R-C-S-K-O-R-U, to look up the technology platform. And the technology platform, it tracks 5 different things. It tracks energy, water, waste, so diversion rate, and that's done with a either a waste audit or having the waste tickets from your hauler, the waste hauler that's at the building, and then also the human experience. So that is a combination of how happy the building users are and if there's any issues with the building, and then also the indoor air quality. And then the last thing is transportation. So how do the building users get to the building? And so it's kind of like a bucket question, like how do they get there and how far do they travel? So that's for existing buildings. I think that LEED operations and maintenance will be more in demand coming up in the future. LEED started by architects, so it was more common for people to get building design and construction. That's the most common accredited professional. But I think there will be more demand in operations and maintenance in the coming years because we really have to address the use of existing buildings and yeah, really address that. You know, the building stock is huge and buildings last for 30 or 50 years. So there's a lot of them already out there that aren't so sustainable.
Thank you. It looks like I have a few questions about trying to see if I can combine any of these together. So there is one question that says, what counts for CEUs for recertification? And there's a question that also says, are the 30 hours of CEUs broken evenly into the 5 sections? So it looks like we have some CEU related.
Yeah. So CEs are earned by, a lot of times it's like a webinar. So just this week, I submitted 6, it was either 6 or 7 of the sessions for the multifamily housing summit that we have coming up. I submitted them to our department for continuing education. So I send in the information for the session, like the description and the learning objectives, and then our education team looks over that and then approves them for continuing education or not. And so that's usually how people get their continuing education, coming to a webinar. Before COVID, we used to hold a state conference here in Arizona. It was at the Tempe Center for the Arts, and we would have a whole day of speakers that were, you know, Arizona related. And we had some really great speakers. So people would earn their continuing education there. You can also go onto the education at USGBC website and watch some of the webinars there and take a little test. So that's another way to earn your CEs. And CEs don't have to be broken up into the 5 credit categories. That's not a requirement. There is a requirement that some need to be LEED specific. And what that means is that the session or the program, the hour, usually they're an hour long or a half hour long. The sessions are LEED specific, meaning they are applied to a specific LEED rating system. So it would be like LEED version 4.1, building design and construction. And it would be usually a project that talks about how they used that LEED system in the project, and specific examples for that. So the only distinction in continuing education credits is that some of them are required to be LEED specific.
Great. Okay, so we have one more question in the current Q&A list, and it says, will you receive reminders to renew your certification?
Yes, I think you get an email, one, at least one about a month in advance of your, and maybe even 3 months too, that give you a heads up that your accreditation is expiring and that your continuing education hours are required to be reported.
Great, thank you. It looks like there's some questions in here for me to answer.
Okay.
We have a couple of, I believe, students. If you are not a student, I apologize, I can't tell by your name. But they're asking about study materials and where you can find them. So the best thing to do is to go to usgbc.org and create an account using your ASU email address. That's the biggest thing. And you will be automatically placed into ASU's gold membership that we have with USGBC. And basically what it means is that anyone who's a current ASU student, faculty, or staff member has access to free study materials through that membership. So, and I believe it's over 600 hours of free study material. And I also like to throw it out there that it's beneficial for faculty as well and professors, because they can pull information for their classes from the USGBC site because there's so much educational material in there. So even if you're not, you know, shooting for an accreditation right now, you can just go in and learn. There's all kinds of resources to do that. So, so that'll be the first thing that you do is jump in there, make an account on the usgbc.org website with your ASU email address, and then email usp@asu.edu. Maybe somebody can type that into the chat for me. And I check that email address, so I will respond to you and ensure that you are added to our membership. And then I will send you a fact sheet that will direct you exactly where to find the free study materials, because it's sometimes a little bit hard to find exactly what's free and exactly what's not free, because the whole website is tailored for people who are getting those certifications. And there's a lot of people on there who are not going to ASU, they're paying for everything. But because you are going to ASU or you're an ASU affiliate, you can get all of these study materials for free. So it's pretty cool. But I will also say that the exam does cost $100, which is highly discounted, right, Dane? It's like,
yeah, that
250 or something.
Yeah, I think it's over, I forget what it is full price, but that's basically our cost. I mean, as an organization, that's our cost to pay the Prometric Center or whatever. So yeah, it's highly discounted for the students.
Yes. And something that I like to mention as well is that you kind of have unlimited access to all this study material, whereas not everybody does. So you can study for as long as you want to study and potentially only have to take the exam one time and pay for the exam one time. I know when I was a student in the School of Sustainability myself, I think I attended a session similar to this and learned about LEED certification. And I had a few friends that they wanted to get their LEED certification and they had to take the test more than once and they had to pay for the test a few times, because I think at the time maybe we didn't have the membership. It was just kind of a general presentation about the importance of LEED certification, because I graduated college a while ago. I won't say how long ago, but so the benefit to this is that you could potentially only have to pay for the exam one time, and I would say most people probably do. So study for as long as you need to so you feel really, really comfortable, and then jump in there when you're ready to take that test.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll throw something out there too. I'd like to give a shout out to Marcus Myers. He's a professor that does commissioning, and he's the faculty member in charge of the USGBC Student Club. So we had a USGBC Student Club in the past, and if you're interested in that, I think we could get that going again. then we could have a, get together and have study groups, or a couple years ago we had a club, and we had speakers every month, and it was really cool. It was a neat group of students, and they all learned together, and a bunch of them got their LEED accreditations that way too, by working together and using the student club for that purpose.
Yes, I mean, maybe somebody else knows, but I haven't heard any updates about that club recently. So hopefully it's getting restarted maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Yeah, if we get enough interest, we could restart it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be great. Somebody has a question about the exam that I don't know the answer to. So Alex says, can the test be taken at any time when we're ready, or is it held at specific times and sessions routinely?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you take it at a Prometric test center, it's like one of those computer testing centers. So you can go anytime, it's scheduled, and they proctor all kinds of exams for like, licensure type exams, or all kinds of, they proctor all kinds of exams, and then they just pull up the LEED accreditation exam when you're there, and they are ready for you, and you take the test when you're there. If you do it online, obviously it's on demand, and you can do it on your own time. So basically, it's anytime you want. There's not a set time when the test is available. It's available when you're ready, anytime you're ready.
Great. We don't have any more questions in the Q&A at this time. We have a few minutes. Marcia, what would you like to do?
I want to, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I think there was one more question that was highlighted in regards to LEED certification having a role in residential housing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know if that was one that we had already answered the mix of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for residential, we have LEED for homes, and there's LEED for homes multifamily, and then there's also LEED for homes single family. And multifamily is broken up into low rise or high rise, or low rise, mid rise, or high rise, I think. And then LEED for homes single family. These are mostly designed for building design and construction. So they're new homes. We have a really good production builder called TriPoint Homes in the Valley that is certifying all of their homes. So that's pretty neat. And the LEED for homes is, I would say, it's the more rigorous testing, because it requires a LEED homes rater, which is a person that is on site at 2 different times during the construction. And so when the walls are bare, they are there to check the insulation. And then right before occupancy, they're also there to check. So they actually verify things in person. So LEED for homes is quite a rigorous certification process. So if you're in the market for buying a new house and you can find one that is LEED certified, that's pretty neat.
Thank you.
If you did, so every once in a while, you will have a home that does a renovation, but to do a LEED certification for an existing home, it's a substantial renovation, and it's like one that you wouldn't live in the house through. Like they gotta tear the walls up and re-insulate it and that sort of thing. So we don't have a good system set up yet for existing buildings. They're piloting one in India right now, but not here in the States. So we'll see how that goes.
Looks like we have a few last questions here. We have 5 minutes left, so we might be able to answer these in those 5 minutes.
Rapid fire.
Before I ask those questions of you, I did want to reiterate that we will have 4 kind of drop-in Zoom sessions that if your question wasn't answered or you thought of another question afterward, you can join Dane and I. It's in the chat posted by Allison Gray. There's 4 of them throughout October, and you just drop into the Zoom session and ask us questions and leave whenever you want. So I did want to throw that out there just in case your question wasn't answered.
Cool. That'll be good.
The one question I have here, do we pay for the recertification after the initial 2 years?
No, there's not an extra cost after the 2 years. You only pay for the test, and then as long as you keep up on your continuing education, and you're good to go, and it renews automatically. I think you hit a button to renew once you have your continuing education hours. That's the only requirement, is to hit the button after you got your continuing education.
Great. It looks like this is kind of a similar question. So do the LEED certificate holders tend to renew their certificate or not normally?
As far as the accreditation professionals, yeah, most of them are getting their continuing education and they're renewing. For building certification, there is a movement of recertification. If you go in a building and then you see a LEED plaque, but it's like from 2005 or something, and you kind of think, oh, well, how much influence does that have? Is it still a sustainable building? And the thing that some firms are doing is they're recertifying in under operations and maintenance, which is a different system, but lines up pretty well with the building design and construction. But if it's operated well and efficiently, I guess a way to think about it, then it will also could achieve LEED operations and maintenance. And the point system on operations and maintenance is based on other buildings in the region, and so how it's performing against other buildings in the region of similar size and type. So it's kind of an interesting thing about operations and maintenance. The same building here in Arizona versus Colorado would have a higher score here because the grid in Colorado is dirtier than we have here in Arizona, since we have a lot of hydroelectric and solar here. So that's kind of interesting to think about that. And a building owner can't really do anything about that except for advocate, I guess, for better policies. But there's a back end carbon calculation based on the grid.
Awesome, thank you. With 2 minutes left, this should be like a one word answer, I guess. So somebody says, I scheduled my LEED GA exam in a couple of months, and if I were to take the LEED AP, would the cost be the same? How much is the LEED AP exam, I guess is the question.
Yeah, the LEED AP exam, there's not a discount for students on that one. I want to say it's like $375 or something like that, or maybe even $500. It's significant, the cost of the AP. I haven't taken that one because I don't day to day, I don't work in the in the credits or certifying projects. So you can take the option of taking your LEED Green Associate and your AP at the same time. That is an option, and so you could do that, and you could still get the student discount for the LEED Green Associate. But there isn't a student discount for the AP at this point.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, before we end this session, you may have noticed that it was being recorded. And so we do plan to post the video on the College of Global Futures YouTube page in the upcoming weeks. The link will be in the chat for you to reference to subscribe to that YouTube page. And please do take advantage of those future USGBC LEED drop-in Zoom sessions. I want to share my appreciation to Emmery for not only moderating today's event, but also sharing this partnership between ASU and USGBC to support LEED credentialing opportunities for the ASU community. So, and also a special thank you to Dane for sharing his experience and expertise with all of us today. And thank you to each and every one of you for joining us for this information session. And I wish you health and wellness.
You're welcome. Thank you, Marcia. And thank you,
Thanks,
Emmery,
Marcia.
for putting this together.
Yeah.
Awesome.